All right, we are live for a Saturday edition of the RTD Live Talk, the People's Talk Show. Looking forward to connecting, and wanted to just jump on and share some thoughts in reference to what we've just gone through, with just week one of this banking fiasco that's underway, and share with you some headlines on what's up and coming, and how there's just so much noise out here. As always, it's hard to try to filter through, but I think one of the more noticeable diversion and distractions that's being thrown our way happens to be the whole Trump, being arrested on Tuesday, and allegedly he's telling people to get out and protest and rally. And I'm like, people don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Don't fall for this. It's a trap. So, but anyway, how convenient they're going to arrest Trump supposedly at the same time the banks is going up. So we know this is all a part of the confusion and distraction they want to throw away. But most important, it happens to be in reference to the currency. These things around me right here. This is what's going on, and what they've done ultimately at the end of the day, as you guys see right here, they cut on the monetary spigot. I've been using that word for quite some time now, just showing how at the end of the day, the only thing they can do is continue to just put more gasoline on the fire. And the gasoline happens to be the currency that we've used up to this point. But yet I think there's going to be a mass exodus as well as diversification out of our national currency in the next couple of months, just because it's going to definitely come back to haunt those who are holding these things, i.e. in the word inflation. So anyway, hope everyone's doing well. Wanted to also find out from you guys directly, based upon all this activity this past week, what are some things you've learned or walked away from that has probably made you do some things different, perhaps? So let me know. Definitely would love to hear from you guys. So I got a couple headlines here. Won't be too long, but ultimately what we're experiencing now is the beginning of the banking crisis. And it so happens that the way they're trying to prop up and backstop the banking crisis is with using and issuing more currency. And so that's going to be a major problem. And then also, on a side note, the All In podcast with a lot of VC big wigs. I was listening to that today, and it kind of ended with even them talking about needing alternatives to the traditional banking model and how confidence is gone. And so for people who have large amounts of cash, they're looking for a way to basically unbank themselves. And one thing that hasn't been talked about much is alternative banking. When you go back into history, how there was actually people using depositories, which is a way to actually store your metals, and of course in allocated accounts or whatnot. So that is another method that I'm assuming more people will probably come in contact with soon enough. But anyway, let me check in real quick, acknowledge a couple people, then we'll get into some stories here. But I thought I'd put together this little visual aid here just to highlight where this is heading. And so literally, it's good to say that QE has officially started, just because the backstopping will ultimately lead to more irresponsible actions from the banking cartel, knowing that the Federal Reserve has stepped in now to basically prop up their malfeasance. And so they're going to get a lot more riskier. Therefore, we're going to see a lot of a lot of all-time highs. Probably, like, they're going to inflate this bubble, like the bubble that I was concerned about popping, more than likely will be reinflated, just because now, if all the banks know that there's a cushion or support line coming from the central bank, then what will keep them from doing more risky things to actually inflate the bubbles higher? So we'll talk about that and a couple other things. And also, if you got questions, thoughts, ideas, feel free, when the phone lines open up, let me know what you got on your mind. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Hopefully that notifies a couple more people so people can stay plugged in and be able to join us when I do these off the cuff live streams, because the goal is, of course, to connect with the people and hear what you have to say. So, all righty, let me check in real quick, acknowledge a couple of people, then I'll get into some headlines and show you how we ain't seen nothing yet. We got Neil checking in. We got Gene checking in. We got Rolf. What else we got here? We got low blood pressure, Miss Love. Appreciate you, Gene. We got the Sword guy checking in as well. Love your show. Appreciate you, my friend. Unclearable, Unclear Robbie, if I'm saying that correctly. How you doing, my friend? Yeah. Crypto checking in with us, son. Okay, fair amount of people. Appreciate you. And so I wanted to start off, just jump right into it, man. Let me just get my stuff together here. But of course, I'm sure by now everybody's seeing this graph here. And so let me remove some things away from so I can actually see. Give me 1 second here so I can, there we go. Okay, so by now everyone's seen this graph here. And so ultimately, all of the QT, all of the dialing back of the easy monetary policy was literally undone within a single week. All-time highs in reference to the amount of currency lent out through the discount window, as well as the creation of a new window or new tool, that the BMTF or whatever it's called. So $300 billion like that. Not even they didn't even blink. That's how quick it came into existence, basically just to provide cushion for the banks. And it was only what is it? It was only three banks primarily there was a primary focus for all of this. But as of the end of this week, yesterday, we have a total of five banks. We have SVB, Silvergate, Signature Bank. We have Credit Suisse, and now First Republic, which of course they're doing some things on the back end trying to shore up stuff. But here we have 8.63 in week one. And this upcoming week, it's going to grow even more, to where my suspicion is before we get out of this month, we're going to be beyond the 8.9 figure, which was the all-time high. And there's no going back. This solidifies the fact that they cannot remove support for the banking sector, or else everything goes belly up. And so one of the key takeaways that let me get my screens together. Where did I go here? Give me a second here. There we go. So one of the key takeaways for me personally, what I've learned throughout this past week, is that they're not ready for the banking system to collapse. And so therefore they're willing to possibly reinflate to save the banks. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that they're not ready. And what I mean by not ready, everyone now is also talking about the Fed Now system. And so that goes live in July. And so between the SWIFT CBPR Plus, which is a new interoperable international network that is also launching this upcoming week. So it's in its beta phase. So they need to iron out the kinks. And then you have here on the domestic front, you have the Fed Now system, which is the interbanking, payment network that's, supposed to be fast and all that good stuff like that. So between those two systems there, they're not ready because they're not fully operational. All the institutions aren't signed up. And so to me, when I saw that time frame was given to us July 7th, I'm thinking like, okay, so they need more time ultimately. So these emergency measures is not really because they want to make sure the depositors in general are made whole. They need more time to back things up. And so between now and July, when things go online, we are going to have a lot more issues. Therefore, so far with this 300 billion that they brought into existence, that's only the fraction of what's needed just for the domestic concerns we have here with the banks that are underwater, to the tune of $2 trillion. And so we need another 1.7, which will be probably put onto the Fed's balance sheet in the next couple of weeks or months. And God forbid there's an unforeseen event that comes, which is more than likely possible. There's going to be a few more trillions needed. And so where will all those trillions float to? Because the banks themselves will have the cushion now. And it's good to say a lot of people will feel extremely confident. I'm going to show an article to you guys in a minute showing how people are now getting back into the market because there's confidence now, because they basically feel that banks won't fail. And so now it's going to be even more gambling. So stocks going to go through the roof. Cryptos might go through the roof. And of course, in a flight to safety, gold and silver also will get a good bid as well. So, okay, let me just keep going, man. A couple other things here. So here is the next canary in the coal mine that will be talked about. It says here, dozens of banks may have risk similar to Silicon Valley Bank, economist finds. And let me zoom in. I'm going to actually give you this number here, because when I saw this number, I'm like, yeah, we ain't seen nothing yet. It said SVB failed after rising interest rates reduced the value of its assets and worried customers scrambled to withdraw unsecured depositors. In a new study, economists said that they found 186 banks that may be prone to similar risk. 186 banks. So we're just talking about 4 domestically here and 1 international bank. That makes up the 5 banks I referenced earlier. And they're saying that there's 186 banks that may be in similar positions. So now that this backup tool is there, it's going to be utilized, as well as the discount window. And so where do those funds come from? It's the creation of basically ledger transfers from the Fed to the balance sheets of the banks. And eventually it may or may not work its way out to the economy, but there will be more riskier gambles of people literally taking out more lines of credit And then with that lines of credit going out into the mainstream economy and spending it, therefore driving up the price of goods and services. So we're going to have consumer price increases that will be a result of all this, as well as overarching inflation, which is the expansion of the monetary supply, just through looking and surely at the Federal Reserve's balance sheet, which are basically the currency in of itself. So yeah, that's going to be of concern. So we got 4 this week, 186 plus to come. And so, yeah, going to be very concerning. And if that is not worse, not bad enough, it looks like after Janet Yellen's little testimony, her basically causing a little bit of panic in reference to which banks are worth saving, which banks are not worth saving. Here we have an article. It says mid-sized U.S. banks ask FDIC to insure all deposits for 2 years. And so now that we know the bigger echelon banks are pretty much backstopped and good for at least at a minimum of 1 year with this new tool that they created. Now we got the smaller banks, your mom and pop banks and the community banks, and not even sure about credit unions that probably want to get on in this too. They're asking for some support if need be as well, up to 2 years. And so are they concerned with this? Do they have the same risk as some of these big banks? Probably not as much, but they want to know that they got the same support that the banks have as well. So this is definitely going to spread into the community banks and credit unions and everything in between. But it says financial system risk, more bank runs without aid group says the deposits have been moving into firms seen as too big to fail. And so I would imagine that a lot of small community banks have also seen a lot of deposits well above that 250,000 FDCI, insurance line, probably also moved into the hands of the GSIB. So putting a little pressure on the smaller banks. And so the contagion will definitely spread. And then just here's more news here. Banks have borrowed $165 billion from the Fed in the past week, just the past week. So we ain't seen nothing yet. And just to show you how, with this newfound confidence that investors have because the banks will not be allowed to fail, the world's biggest ETF adds $7.3 billion in days after bank rescues. And so we have more people confident to get back into the markets because now they have confidence that things will probably trend upward rather than downward. And so the flow into the 360 billion SPDR S&P 500 EFT trust was the most since the people felt confident because of the health situation. So it says vaccine, the most since a vaccine for COVID was announced back in November 2020, and the 6th largest in over a decade. So it's usually just that newfound excitement that there's going to be either support coming or a new line of government spending, i.e. with the vaccine. Government went on a spending spree, pre-ordering all types of vaccines from everybody around the damn world, it seems, which led confidence into the markets. People flooded in to basically reap the rewards of those stock increasings. And so here we got the same thing. Now that the backstop is there, central banks are pretty much going to be considered good investments. And so more people are going to look to gamble, which is going to inflate the bubble even more. So yeah, more things it's just worth paying attention to. And keep it going. Let me go back here. Spare you that one. So yeah, here's another thing that concerns me, just because I would assume everybody has to be able to see through this. But now what was apparently a misdemeanor for former President Trump has now become a felony. And the fact that the Fox News, CNN, all the mainstream news just yesterday primarily decided to focus on the leading story for next week, which was designed to take your attention off of the financial sector and its troubles. They want to now bring in into political stuff, talking about President Trump. So once again, I don't have any confidence that any of this is really genuine. I think it's all a part of it's all political theater in a sense. And I just find it hard to believe that President Trump isn't out here playing along with that just because he's telling people to, protest, take action. It's like, okay, weren't you the same one who did not diffuse the whole January 6th event that took place? You knew that people were going to march down there and you didn't bother to tell people, go home, don't do, what I'm saying? No, he let that happen. And now he's wanting people to get out in the streets and, I guess protest and come together for his sake. And I'm thinking like, I don't think it's worth it. It's not worth the setup, because with that idea of President Trump telling people to take action, There's going to be some paid activists out there. Of course, we're going to be government agents. They're going to do something stupid, and it's just a great setup for militarizing our government even more against us, and bringing out some troops or whatever, just to create the whole terrorism act narrative at home type stuff. So yeah, it's unfortunate, man, but this is kind of where things are heading. And then what else we got here? Let me see. I did some words about that, but yeah. So UBS is in Blackstone, and a couple other companies are trying to come together and basically prevent Credit Suisse from going belly up, because Credit Suisse already got a temporary loan, but obviously wasn't enough. And this GSIB here, if it cannot fail because it's interconnected with all the other GSIBs. So they're going out, they're pulling out all the stops on this one to try to make Credit Suisse a decent company that somebody will be willing to take on the liabilities they have. Because I heard some numbers out there. They got about, I think about 10 trillion worth of exposure, including derivatives, I think. And then their overall assets is, very, very small. So whoever takes this over, you're taking on a sinking ship. And so taking on a sinking ship, they're doing it obviously because they don't want that ship to sink completely and also cause all the other ships to sink as well. Because Credit Suisse is, and all the other GSIBs in its current environment, they're not, in my opinion, too profitable whatsoever. And so no doubt that they're on the hook for having exposure to a lot of ECB and treasuries here and everything like that. So, but anyway, so where does all this take us? This all takes us right back to where the title of this video, from banking crisis to currency crisis. Because to me, this is a clear indication that at this point, they are willing to do whatever it takes, and that includes sacrificing the currency in of itself to continue to prop this thing up. And we all knew all along that, inflation has to continue or else things will lock up. And what we're seeing right now is the complete lockup of the banking sector due to all these banks underwater with all these non-performing liabilities. And so now they about to start just they cutting the spigot on, and we're going to see literally within the next couple of weeks and months, trillions probably brought into existence just for the banks. And it has nothing to do with the insuring depositors under $250,000 because the FDIC is supposed to have them covered. This is all the heavy hitters up top, as well as the interconnected with the pension funds and hedge funds and all that, all the big wigs up top that stand to lose a lot. They want to make sure they're shored up as well. So we ain't seen nothing yet, my good people. But the good news about all this is that more people are waking up. Confidence in the old banking model is pretty much gone. There's more people, from what I'm seeing and stories I'm reading, about people actually going and withdrawing more funds just on having some in their own possession. And then unfortunately, most people are moving it also to the bigger banks, which only puts you at that much more risk. Because if we're witnessing bank runs at a minor phase with the smaller banks, they will not stand for any of the GSIBs to have the same amount of pressure put on them, where there's long queues or people going online trying to transfer funds. Because with all the funds being transferred up to the top of the echelon banks, where are you going to go from there? And so more people will probably get out of the currency all in of itself and either speculate with it, because as I mentioned before, stocks are going to go up, crypto is going to go up, gold, silver is going to go up. So now it's going to be just like, hey, we're going to just get out of the dollar for the most part and go into other things. And it's good to say a lot of people here are going to go into precious metals, and that's a good thing. So, but that's just one of the key takeaways I learned this week, is that it's not time for the system to come down, because the Fed now and the CBPR plus is not ready, fully operational yet. So I think they need to buy some more time. So they're going to literally prop this thing up, not because they want to save the depositors, but just because they need to save themselves, because they need this stuff to be fully operational, no hiccups, no kinks, and none of the software when it's ready to be rolled out. And then once it's up and running, once everybody's connected, then they'll probably dial back and just start letting these banks take some losses, because they'll be ready to come out with their solution. Fed now, which of course will be interoperable and interconnected with the digital dollar version or whatever they're going to roll out. So anyway, that's just some things I want to get off my chest, just because it's a coming week. There's going to be more than enough stories to talk about. But yeah, we're going from a banking crisis to a currency crisis like that, because the spigot is back on. So, and what does that mean? That means the price of goods and services all around you eventually will work its way back up. And the whole narrative of fighting inflation, we know that you can't fight the expansion of the monetary supply. So that's just a falsehood. We will see a quarter point rate hike this upcoming week, just because ECB did 50 basis points which lets us know that the IMF has already said they need to stay on this pathway of continuing to hike. And that's the way that they are portraying that they're fighting inflation. But now that the backstops are there, they could quietly on the back end support all these banks, but also up top continue to hike. And who's squeezed in the middle? The average working class consumer. Of course, more layoffs, more banking stress, more financial stress. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is a sick game they're playing. But anyway, I think Gregory Manarino says it best. You know, the best thing to do to be your own bank as best as you can. Okay, so let me stop ranting, man. I'm sure you guys have also learned a lot of valuable lessons this week. And so I want to hear from you guys. So if you guys have some things you want to get off your chest, this is the time to do it. So let me know. Let me get this situated here. Would definitely love to hear from you guys. And what else? I just pretty most parts have focused on the monetary side and the upcoming Tuesday distraction. But I know you guys have probably seen some other things. So feel free, if you got some things you want to get off your chest, this is where you can do it. And so once I get my phone line open, we can talk. Let me see here. I got to get myself situated. I did not come prepared. It's Saturday. Bear with me. I don't know where. There we go. All right. Let me get this open. So anyway, or just highlight some things in the chat and I'll jump on it if you guys just want to ask questions. Rolf says, what is the next U.S. debt ceiling limit? 40 trillion? Rolf, at this current moment, it's going to go higher. But one thing that's different now than previous debt ceiling debacles is that never before has there been so much development of alternatives that other countries are using. There are stories floating around right now about the Indian rupee. The rupee is being used by, I think it's being used by 18 countries. Let me grab that article. By about 18 countries for trade amongst themselves, as well as a viable option to be used in commerce amongst other nations. So the fact that India is stepping up to the plate, trying to get their currency out there. Of course, China's being more loose with their policies. Russia, they got special deals and currency swaps with people. So it doesn't really matter what the debt ceiling goes to because everybody on the Eastern Hemisphere know that it's not going to be paid back. So it's like, let's just set up our infrastructure so that when it's time, we'll be ready to go and not be solely stuck relying upon dollars. But all right, let's talk. Let me get somebody on here. Hello, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm calling from Eastern Shore, Virginia.
Hey there, my friend. What's on your mind? Talk to me.
What's on my mind? You know, we have EVs, we have all this banking problems, woke, and everything else, but it's really good for evil.
I'm sorry. Say it again.
With everything that's going on today, it's really good for evil.
Okay, so I hear you kind of, but it was a little bit choppy. But you might have to say it again. So I don't know if it's the internet connection or what, but it's what one more time?
Okay. All right. With what is all going on today in the economic situation, and the political situation, and it's really good against evil.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to do something good.
Right.
You got the electric cars. You got no more gas ranges. How about if we had energy that we could make out of electricity, water, and air?
I'm
talking about is ammonia.
Okay, so I just saw motor fuel. Yeah, I just saw a video where a gentleman in Toronto he had his car driving off ammonia, and he has he's patent pending and stuff like that. But that stuff never really makes it to the manufacturing because they usually squash it, or the person who does that tries to patent it first, and that brings attention to himself, and then he ends up coming up missing or no longer in the land of the living. So, you know, that technology is there, but how do you get it out to the masses in a way where it can actually be done, rather than just living in theory?
How about if you do a demonstration project, and you're not trying to do it for monetary gain,
right?
So you don't give a flying fuck about patents or anything else.
How about that?
And just invite anybody in to copy it.
I'm game. So do you have some technology like that you're working on, or you know how to get some?
I have bought the land. I have imported 300 solar panels.
Mm-hmm.
I have cleared the land site, and I've imported a fire truck as a test engine.
Okay. Now,
so are you really want to help? Because I'm looking for help.
I as a community and as a community in whole, I'm always open to support those who are trying to do something positive to help out humanity. So definitely, I think, you know, we're power in numbers. And so if you're able to put together some type of plan, give us something to look at, I definitely will love to promote it to the community. And if it's more, you'll get more help from the majority of us than just me myself, but I can help get your message to the masses if you got something solid for us. So do me a favor. Email me, go to rethinkingthedollar.com, top left-hand corner, shoot me an email, and we'll communicate, and we'll see if I have something I can do to help you with that, because I definitely would love to help out. So I appreciate that.
Okay, here. I'm going to, on air right here, I'm going to give my email in case there's somebody else out there too.
Okay, go ahead.
I am hydro rescue at yahoo.com.
I am rescue, right? I am rescue.
Hydro. HYDRO, rescue, RESCUE, at yahoo.com.
All right. You put it out there, my friend.
The reason for that email is that I rescued 2 hydroelectric dams, and for 17 years I made my living off the power plants I built. All
right. Well, hey, it's out there, my friend. Appreciate you. Shoot me an email as well, and we'll talk more. But thanks for calling, my friend. Good stuff. So yeah, if anyone's interested and familiar with that, feel free to reach out to our brother there, and definitely be a blessing to him, man. So when people have ideas or strategies or something that they can put out there, hey, I'm all for trying to support. I'm all for that. But yeah, as far as that, I was, once again, looking for alternatives. To me, what we need most is alternatives to diversify ourselves from this enslavement system that we have. And so when it comes to alternative fuels and stuff like that, of course, I've talked last year, I think, about the 3 or 4 guys who had their cars running off hydrogen, and none of them now are in the land of living. So it's like, if you disrupt their game, it's unfortunate that you just don't live. You don't live that long, unfortunately. All right, give me a second here. Let me get some people on here. Let me get you on here. Yeah. Hello, Carlos. Where are you calling from?
Yeah, Mike, Steve, people read tonight.
Steve, what's going on, my friend? Give me something.
Hey, I was hoping you got some of those videos, man. I was like, geez, I'm going to overload the guy.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth, and I usually click and try to start at least watching, but it's so much stuff from being sent, and so it's hard to get to it all. So I just try to pass it forward.
No, I know what you mean there. Hey, let's touch on the Mexico thing again. I think there's some legs to this BRICS thing.
Okay.
from what I'm seeing, because Mexico's in what they call the mints, correct? Well, they call it the mints. You have the BRICS, and then you have the mint. The mint is Mexico, Indonesia, Nigeria, and I forgot what the T is. But I guess they are in talks with the BRICS to join. So I think that's why we're starting to see this ramp up of trying to get boots on the ground in Mexico by any means necessary, i.e. cartels. Cartels have been running rampant in this country via those 3-letter agencies for a long time now. And if anyone wants to go to like YouTube California Insider, you will see videos within the last 3 months or so where they're doing shows on cartels operating in the open out here, in the open.
Really?
Yeah. So if they go to if they just YouTube California Insider, they have shows listed there on how the cartels are operating in the open here, and up in the northern California area is just definitely wild, wild west. Humboldt County, etc.
Yeah.
Netflix even has a documentary, Murder Mountain.
Murder Mountain. Okay.
Yeah, there's a documentary on Netflix. But yeah, they're operating in the open, and Pelosi and them have some things to do with it, etc.
Yeah.
She comes from a crime family to begin with.
Yeah.
So all of that, and Robert Kiyosaki was on Cavuto Live this morning.
Yeah.
And he brought up the Mexico joining the BRICS. I tried to find it earlier.
Yeah.
I'm out on the road right now, so I didn't have time to try to pull that little clip up. He was only on for like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
But he brought up Mexico is planning on joining the BRICS. I guess it's in conversation or whatever is going on. There's legs to that though, and how, and like I said, how the U.S. is trying to push getting into Mexico now. I mean, that's not by coincidence.
Watch this. I'm seeing more. I've noticed more and more articles being brought to us about killings. You know, Americans being killed in Mexico, like as if it's always been happening. But now the mainstream media is now starting to shine light on that to deter Americans, for the most part, from going down to Mexico. And I think that has a lot to do with it. They want to paint that picture of like it's getting bad down there. You don't want to go down there, as if like, you know, that's the only reason why.
Hey, no doubt about it. Hey, but you know what they're not shining the light on? Are the cartels knowingly operating here in the United States? Because they don't want to draw attention to that, because those 3-letter agencies are involved with that.
Yeah.
So they're not pointing that out. But like I said, there are some shows that are putting it out there to go, hey, these guys are operating in our country in plain sight.
Yeah.
And like I said, they can go to the California Insider, YouTube that, and you'll see shows. You see shows they're sitting on it.
Right.
But anyway, that's about it.
Appreciate
I
you, man.
kind of want to get around to some of the spiritual stuff, like those 28 girls down there in those 28 girls down there in Colombia or wherever it was. They were playing with the Ouija board, and they had to be hospitalized.
Let me see that. I don't think I heard about that one. Let me look that up real quick.
Oh yeah, that's spiritual stuff. People were playing with these things, and those things are real. 28 girls were messing around with the Ouija board, and they basically got possessed or whatever you want to call it, and they had to be hospitalized.
Wow.
You can't make this stuff up.
Wow. Okay, I see the headlines now. It says 28 girls hospitalized with anxiety. Yeah.
I just try to come with the receipts.
Oh man. Okay. Well, hey, appreciate you, man. Thanks for bringing us up to date on that stuff. So definitely that Mexico BRICS situation is starting to get out there. So we'll have to keep our eye on that as well. But it doesn't surprise me one bit. Anybody who is a former ally of the U.S. definitely you're going to be forced to go east, just because you know that's just the way the trend is heading. So yeah, it's going to be bad.
Okay. Hey, but you did find that 28 girls.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, I did find. I showed it on the screen for a moment.
Oh man, yeah, you can't make this stuff up.
Exactly.
Hey,
appreciate you, man.
If anybody finds that Robert Kiyosaki interview from Cavuto Live today, you know, have them send it in. Like I said, I'm on the road, so I can't send it in.
But I'll try to look it up.
5 to 7 minutes.
But I'll look it up right now. Appreciate you, man.
All right, bro.
Be good.
You guys take care.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Good stuff. So yeah, I changed the background just to show you how the currency just keeps flopping. It keeps coming. The spigot, that's what the spigot looks like. That's just when you cut it back on, and now, you know, the digits just going to continue to grow. Yeah. And as these digits grow, purchasing power, less and less and less and less. And as I always said, I'm going to do another video because I got some graphics I'm working on. But like I always said, well before now, this current administration is the last administration under this current monetary structure. I'm leaving it at that. Like Biden is the last president under this current monetary structure, hands down. So, yeah. Yeah, what comes after that is going to be very concerning. Anyway, we get some more calls in there. All right, let me get you on here. Forgive me. I got somebody here. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Maybe not. Shoot. Yeah, 1 second. I gotta put you on speakerphone. So give me a second. Give me 1 second. I got somebody here, but I gotta. Only my issue is trying to put it on speakerphone, so I can hear you, but they can't. So give me. All right. There we go. What's your name? Where you calling from?
It's low blood pressure, Corpus Christi. How's it going, Mike?
LBP, doing good, my friend. What you got?
Hey, that whole Mexico thing, Mike. Hey, man, go to Chicago, Mike. You scared of Mexico? Go to Chicago.
Yeah, I'll pass on that one.
They don't want people to go. You know, they don't want everybody jumping ship. That's what it is, Mike.
Right. And that's the easy. Like going south is the easiest way out of this country because nobody in their right mind gonna go north. So you're gonna go south because of the quality of life, cheapness of life, and all the other stuff. So what better way to deter people to say it's dangerous? You don't want to cross that border. Cartels waiting on you. Okay, yeah, sure. I'm sure they are, but not. You know, it's not the way they paint the picture that is really concerning me. So anyway. But what are you hearing down there, man? You say, how's your Mexican situation going?
Oh, I got it, Mike. I got it in October. I went to Houston about 3 weeks ago, and I got my Mexican passport.
Mm-hmm. Congratulations.
Yeah, I had to go. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I had to go to the consulate in Houston. It's a pretty big building. It's like a 3-4 story building.
Mm-hmm.
And the lady was talking to me in Spanish, and my Spanish is good, but you know they use the correct terminology, you know, for things.
Yeah.
And let me tell you the story. You got time for the story?
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't mind, give it to us in a summarized version. So try to get a couple more calls in.
Okay. Okay. So I go to the consulate and I talk to the lady, right? I give her my paperwork, and she tells me, "You're born in America," because I had my birth certificate, my Mexican birth certificate, but it has your birth of place, United States. You know, I was born outside of Chicago. She's like, "You're born in America? What?" She had to go talk to the supervisor, and she's like, "What the hell is this guy doing?" And then the guy was like, "Oh yeah, just give him." And then I told her I got dual citizenship, you know. And then, anyways, long story short, like an hour later, they issue you your passport. They actually hand it to you that same day, you know.
Yeah.
So I got my 10-year passport, but in Mexico I have a different name. So now I could go open up a bank account down there and not worry about the IRS getting me, you know.
You got a different name?
Yeah, my name's different because over there they use 2 last names. You know, I don't know if you know that.
I did not know that. No. Okay, I learned something new.
Yeah. In Mexico they use 2 last names, so you have your mother's and your father's both. Oh, and another thing, Mike, when I got my passport, they do retinal scans now. They do. They had me look in the binoculars and they took pictures of my retina. They do that to everybody now.
Right. So biometric identification. That's the wave of the future. So. Yeah, and that's one of the things where that ties right into the whole digital ID. Like you won't have to necessarily. So by going that route, you don't really have to apply for digital ID because they already have your retina scan. And also, you know, when if people do a face unlock on their phones and a thumbprint on their phone, so they already got everything. So it's just like the idea of like having to go directly to somewhere to get an ID. They're gonna do away with that because it's already in the system, man. We already got everybody got their own individualized file sitting up in the what's that place called? The what's the place that Eric Snowden talked about where they hold all our information and spy on us all the time? NSA.
Oh yeah, I'm not too sure.
NSA.
Also, like in Mexico, like you don't have a social security number. It's called man, I forgot the name of it now. It's called not the ENAM. What's it called? CURB. It's called CURB. CURP. And it's an alphanumerical digit, maybe like 16 to 18 digits long with letters and numbers. Yeah. And that marries you to your birth certificate. And I don't think they use it for IRS. I think that's a different number. Yeah. But like it's crazy now, you know. And it even has one of those QR codes, and it'll pull up your birth certificate with the QR code. Yeah. Interesting. Hey man, appreciate you calling in, man. I did learn something today from for real. I didn't know about that, but I appreciate you, man. Yeah. Well, Mike, I'm telling you, I'll sponsor you. We'll come to Houston. Well, I'll flip them a 50, man, and give you a passport. I'll look into this. I don't think it's that easy, but I definitely would. I wouldn't mind if you look into that. A sponsor. Yeah, they'll put us in jail in Mexico. We're flipping them a 50, Mike. We'll both be prisoners. Oh man, hey man, have a good weekend, my friend. Appreciate you. All right, Mike. Thanks for taking my call. Bye. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff, man. All right, people, we're about that 40-minute mark. So yeah, I just want to check in, share with you some thoughts, and let you know what's happening out here. Ultimately, you get you guys, I'm sure, are all plugged in. You know what's happening. But we got 5 banks down, as the article said, 186 more in similar situations. So the entire banking system is in this mess together. And of course, the only thing that can keep them afloat is more currency. And so that means the more this stuff comes off the printing press, and these are big bundles around me, but the more they create, that means the less purchasing power you and I have. And that's just unfortunate. But we know what real money is, silver and gold. So that's one of the things that can help you preserve, protect in the long run, because we probably got to see some things this spring. Could be very eye shocking, if that's a good word. But all right, my good people. Hope everyone has a good day. And I'll probably be back tomorrow. I'm sure there's going to be more developments. And so I'm still waiting on trying to iron out this Credit Suisse, how they're going to solve this fiasco. So there'll be some news by tomorrow, I'm sure, because Monday going to be a whole nother episode of events. And then Tuesday, we're going to see Trump in handcuffs, and then the world's going to really turn upside down. All right, people. Well, enjoy your weekend. Be blessed, be safe. If you enjoyed this back and forth and connecting with the community, hit that thumbs up. And back at it again tomorrow, hopefully. Be blessed. Peace. Did you know that China is hoarding a massive amount of food? They will soon have over 2/3 of the globe's corn reserves, over half of its rice, and over half of its wheat. But when asked about it, China lies. So what does China know that we don't? China is the world's #1 importer, relying on the rest of the world to keep their people fed. This makes them the canary in the coal mine when it comes to global food shortages. As Americans, we need to be prepared for potential food shortages. That's where 4 Patriots Survival Food comes in. Their kits are compact, stackable, and have received a 5-star review for their flavor and taste. And right now, you can get 10% off your first purchase by using code RTD at checkout at 4patriots.com. Don't wait. Prepare today. Once again, use code RTD at 4patriots.com and save 10% on your first purchase.